Survival couple. 90% of relationships fail in extreme situations. Are you ready? The power is out. No food, no plan. Just you and your partner, staring at each other in the dark. What happens next? Will you become a survival dream team, or tear each other apart? When crisis hits, 90% of couples fail. Stress, fear, and bad decisions rip them apart. But the 10% who know this one secret? They survive together. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you'll learn the essential principles that turn relationships into unbreakable survival alliances. And trust me, this knowledge could be the difference between thriving or becoming just another statistic. 2. Setting the stage, the crisis reality check. Disasters come in many forms: blackouts, economic collapse, natural catastrophes. Some couples grow stronger, others fall apart. What makes the difference? Communication, strategy, and mindset. If you've ever fought over something as small as what to eat for dinner, imagine making life or death decisions under extreme pressure. Tiny tensions can become major fractures in survival situations. The good news? 20% of survival strategies bring 80% of the results. In the next few minutes, I'll show you how to make your relationship your greatest survival asset, your ride-or-die advantage when the world turns upside down. This isn't about luck. It's about preparation. So let's get into it. 3. Survival psychology. It's you two versus the world. When the pressure is on, the human brain shifts into survival mode. Cortisol spikes, clouding judgment. Stress fractures relationships just as easily as it does structures. History has shown us, after disasters, divorce rates soar. It's not just the disaster that breaks people. It's how they handle it. So, how do you stay strong when the world is falling apart? Step 1. Master the 10-second rule. Before snapping at your partner, pause. Ask yourself, is this making our situation better or worse? Taking a breath can prevent an unnecessary fight that drains energy and morale. Step 2. Shift the mindset. It's not you versus them. It's both of you versus the crisis. Survival isn't about winning arguments. It's about staying united against external threats. Strong couples recognize the problem is the enemy, not each other. Step 3. Stress test your relationship. Before disaster strikes, put yourselves in controlled high-pressure scenarios. Train together. Make decisions together. The more you practice now, the stronger your bond will be when it counts. The strongest survival couples don't just survive, they adapt, they strategize, and they come out stronger than before. 4. Crisis communication. Talk to be understood. Survival isn't just about food and shelter, it's about communication. Words can either keep you strong or tear you apart when stress is high. Ever notice how small misunderstandings spiral out of control when tensions rise? In a crisis, miscommunication can be fatal. To keep things on track, use the SDAY system. Stay calm. Before speaking, take a breath. Your tone matters more than your words. Talk in solutions. Complaining doesn't fix problems. Speak with purpose. Acknowledge emotions. Dismissing feelings makes things worse. Show you're listening. Yield when needed. You don't always have to be right. Sometimes, the best decision is to let go and move forward. Another key? Clarity under pressure. Use short, direct sentences. If something is important, repeat it. Avoid vague phrases like, "we'll figure it out." Instead say, "we need to purify water now. Let's go." Good communication isn't just nice, it's survival. The way you talk will determine whether you and your partner thrive together, or fall apart when it matters most. 5. Leadership and decision-making under pressure. When disaster strikes, waiting for a perfect plan can cost you everything. A strong couple understands the importance of decisive action. Step 1. Divide and conquer. Identify strengths. One partner might be better at navigation, the other at securing resources. Use each other's skills to maximize efficiency. Step 2. The rotating leader strategy. Leadership shifts depending on the situation. If your partner has more experience in a given crisis, they take charge. No egos, just survival. Step 3. Make decisions before the chaos. Pre-plan major survival choices. Where will you go? What's the first move? The more decisions you make ahead of time, the less panic there is when SHDF. Survival isn't about dominance. It's about teamwork. The couples who make fast, smart choices together, they stay ahead of the game. 6. Resource planning and smart stockpiling. Nothing fuels arguments like an empty pantry. Planning your survival stockpile together prevents fights and guarantees you both feel prepared. The 50/30/20 rule. 50% essentials: water, protein, medicine. 30% preferences: comfort foods, snacks, caffeine. 20% barter and emergency reserves, items for trade or unexpected needs. Having a clear system keeps both partners on the same page, avoiding panic buys or waste. Final tip: inventory checks aren't just for preppers. Make it a habit. Knowing exactly what you have eliminates uncertainty and builds confidence. 7. Staying connected, keeping the relationship strong. Survival isn't just about staying alive, it's about staying together. High stress can break emotional bonds if you're not careful. The 10-minute rule: every day, set aside 10 minutes with no survival talk, just connection. No gear, no plans, just time for each other. Small gestures, big impact. A simple "we've got this" or a reassuring touch can keep morale high. In the middle of chaos, those little moments remind you that you're in this together. A strong relationship is your greatest survival tool. Don't let the stress of survival make you forget why you're fighting to stay alive in the first place. 8. Physical and mental preparedness. No weak links. If one of you collapses, the other has to pick up the slack. That leads to exhaustion, resentment, and failure. The solution? Train together. Basic fitness matters. You don't need to be an athlete, but endurance and strength are crucial. Run drills. Simulate escape routes, packouts, and quick decision-making exercises. Mental resilience is key. Stress inoculation, getting used to pressure in controlled settings, will keep you sharp when real danger strikes. In survival, your biggest asset is a capable partner. Make sure you're both ready to carry your weight. 9. Conflict resolution, arguing without falling apart. Tension is inevitable. When every decision feels like life or death, even small disagreements can spiral into full-blown fights. But here's the deal: survival isn't about never arguing. It's about arguing the right way. The 3-step survival conflict method. Pause and identify the real issue. Before lashing out, ask, am I mad at my partner or at the situation? Most fights aren't about each other. They're about stress, fear, or exhaustion. Listen before you react. Survival stress makes people defensive. Instead of jumping to conclusions, repeat what your partner said before responding. It slows down emotional escalation. Decide and move forward. The worst thing in a crisis is getting stuck in a fight. After both sides are heard, agree on an action, and commit to it. No lingering grudges. Fights will happen. What matters is how quickly you recover. If you master conflict resolution, your relationship won't just survive the crisis, it'll come out stronger. 10. The post-crisis pact, learning and adapting. Surviving an SHDF moment isn't enough. If you don't learn from it, you're just waiting for disaster to strike again. The Survival After Action Review. What worked? Identify strengths, both individually and as a team. What failed? Be honest about mistakes so you don't repeat them. What's next? Adjust your plans, gear, and training based on what you learned. The strongest survival couples don't just survive, they adapt. Every crisis is a chance to refine your strategy and become even more prepared for the next one. 11. If disaster hit tonight, would you and your partner be ready? Survival isn't just about gear, it's about teamwork. By mastering leadership, communication, conflict resolution, and resource management, you'll be part of the 10% of couples who don't just survive, they thrive. Want to take your preparation to the next level? Watch this next video on setting up the ultimate 2-person survival bunker. Because the only thing worse than being unprepared is facing the apocalypse alone.